Hey there, Danielle Matthews here. I'm coming to you live from Florida. It's Monday, it's book club day. It is the first book club of 2026. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday and new year. And we're diving back in. So we're in the midst of, I guess over halfway through, Loyalty to Your Soul, which is all about spiritual psychology. It's nice. It's kind of giving a different lens and context to look at life. I think a lot of us, I wrote today, we all have emotional baggage. And this book is really helping you to kind of figure out, well, how do you get rid of that? And this chapter specifically, it's called The Ego's Backpack, The Root of Emotional Suffering. It's talking about how we're all carrying around this bag of rocks. And the question really kind of begs the question of like, well, how do I unload the rocks? Like, how do I get rid of the rocks? What are these rocks? And I think we all kind of feel this, where like, it just feels heavy. It feels like, yeah, I'm carrying stuff that I don't want to carry anymore. I'm carrying stuff from last year, but also from my childhood, from past relationships, from just past stuff. And I want to let it go. How do I let it go? That is really what this is all about. And, kind of kicks off giving you the visual of like, it's like you're going on a hike. And of course, you got a backpack. You need some supplies. You need rain gear and water and food and whatever else. But he writes, you also have 80 pounds of rocks in your bag. And it's like, off you go. And as you're going, you're picking up rocks and you're sticking them in your backpack. Like, yeah, let's go. And you're acting like it's totally normal, but it's totally insane. It's totally insane. And we're all doing this literally moment by moment every single day. And we've been doing it for decades, which is why we have so many rocks in our bag. We have so much emotional baggage. We're carrying all this stuff. Hey, Charlotte, good to see you. I'm glad that it came up live for you today. Yeah, guys, let me know if you're here. If you're joining me live, and if you're catching the replay, let me know. I like to know who's watching. It's funny. Some of you guys messaged me, oh yeah, I caught your book club. Like, tell me. It's fun for me to know that you're enjoying book club and these discussions. And I will say this, they say 99% of what people feel anguish over is of their own creation. They're continually picking up rocks and adding them to their packs. And like, we think it's normal, and it's not normal, okay? He says these are things like emotional reactivity, disturbance, and pain. And a lot of this stuff, it's unnecessary. But you have to stop and realize what you're doing. And you have to realize that, yeah, just because most people in society are doing it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Doesn't mean it's not a little insane. And so let's look at this, all right? And he says the key here, by unnecessary, we mean that once you learn how to heal unresolved issues, you can choose whether or not to participate in life in the ways that perpetuate your emotional suffering. In other words, once you learn how to stop putting rocks in your pack and unload the ones that are already there, you can enjoy a life that's largely free of emotional suffering. I talk to you guys all the time about that equation. External world plus your internal response equals your reality, your experience of reality, equals your day-to-day life. What emotional suffering are you having? And the truth of the matter is, most of us have unconscious and automatic internal responses to life that are literally putting backpacks on us, rocks in our backpack that we're carrying, and it's putting weight on us. And we don't even realize it. Hey, Karen, I'm glad that book club is back too. It's a good book. So the question becomes like, what are the rocks that you're carrying? And they pointed out as these are unresolved issues. If you've taken Inner Management Mastery with me, these are the blocks that I talk about in the tube. Those of you that did that journey with me that we did right before the holidays of how to not be triggered, the triggers, right? If you remember my visual, it's like stuff is flowing through and then it gets blocked in our tube. These energy knots are the same thing that they're calling rocks. All right, it's the same stuff, different analogy. He says these are anything you're upset about. Whether it appears justified or not. If you remember from this book, I mean, it's been a couple weeks, months now, he talks about this I am upset because dynamic. Like we feel justified in saying, well, I'm upset because blah, blah, blah. This person did this. They should have done that differently. It didn't have to go that way, blah, 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 blah. All of the, constant chatter that's going on in the mind. And these I am upset because comments that come up are actually, he says, they're showing you precisely where the life-changing portal is. It's showing you what rock you're actually holding on to. That's why I said in that journey, the trigger is the teacher. When you're triggered, when the emotions go off, this is the exact moment now where you can actually see what's what and why you're having issues. Okay? So what are these rocks composed of? He kind of talks about how It is these responses that we're having to life situations. And that if we really want to see what the rocks are, then we need to evaluate our internal response. Not judge, but like literally evaluate. He says, evaluation means to see clearly with no mental bias or emotional upset feeding into the process. Okay? So we're trying to look clearly at like, well, why am I doing this? Like, why am I responding this way? You know, the dishes are dirty and I came home and I went off. Why? Like, why am I responding that way? It has nothing to do with dirty dishes. Other days I walk home, see dirty dishes, and I clean them. Right? Like, what is the deal? What is happening here? That's what it's trying to get you to see. And he says, unfortunately, most of us, we have judgment. And this is how they kind of describe this. And I want to read it on page 146. I think this is important. He says, psychologically, the act of judging in this sense of the word ascribes rightness or wrongness, goodness or badness to some person, event, or situation. How often does something happen in our life and we're like, ooh, I like that. Or we're like, ooh, I didn't like that. Or I don't want that, right? We ascribe that, whether it's good or bad. And this moves us, like when we have preference, this moves us into duality. I want up, I don't want down, right? So when we get down, we're upset. And so he says, this is based upon a mental bias or perceptual prejudice involving an internal rule. This is important to understand. It is a standard or belief that the person doing the judging takes to be both true and important. This is the lens we're perceiving life through. All right. He says, once a perceptual prejudice is built into the process, the result is an emotional upset, which then supports and reinforces the bias. Can you see how the ego has slipped into the evaluating process and turned it into the negative side of judgment? When you see through eyes that are steeped in this type of judgment, you have a perceptual filter. You're literally seeing life through a filter. When I share in my mastery program, I'm like, there's sunglasses on. Like, you're wearing sunglasses. You are not seeing clearly what's in front of you. You can't be objective that way. And he says it's a sobering thing to consider that this type of judgmental scene is a byproduct of the way the vast majority of people on this planet have been conditioned. We're all dealing with it. It's when you place these types of judgments against yourself, others, the world, and even God, that they become the rocks that you load into your backpack on a regular basis. That's how the rocks get here. Because you're like, well, it shouldn't be that way. Boom, rock just got in your backpack. It could have been a different way. This isn't fair. This isn't just. I didn't deserve this. All right? Society says this is wrong. It shouldn't have happened. You're supposed to live to be 100. How come you died at age 30? It's wrong. It shouldn't have happened. I'm upset. You're putting rocks in your backpack. All of this, right? Because these are biases, beliefs, and you will feel so righteous about it. Well, Danielle, you should live to 100. It's not fair if someone dies young. Says who? Says who? Like, what is that based off of? When you push back on these like automatic, unconscious beliefs that have been baked into us because of what society says, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong to, live until you're 100 or live till just you're 30. I'm saying that you need to stop and look at, where is this belief coming from? Where is it stemming from? And how is it serving me in this moment to actually believe that? Is it adding rocks, baggage to me, or not? Okay. He says, this is the superior, I forgot to talk about this. So like wine, he talked about the wine example. So like when we're judging wine, like most people are just judging it based on, a set criteria. They're evaluating it. And the moment though that you would put like one of these perceptions on it, it would be like you tasting wine, and you would say, this is superior wine because I like it best. And because I like it best, it's the good wine. And all the other wines are bad. Further, I'm justifiably disturbed and upset by these bad wines' very existence, and I will do everything I can to destroy the vineyards that actually produce them. Like, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But this is the type of thing we do. It's ridiculous when we think about wine, but insert race, religion, ethnicity, culture, economic status, politics of the day, right? Immigration. Like, insert that, and you will see how crazy the population is acting because of their judgments about what something should or shouldn't be. It's wild. And so you just need to ask yourself, and we'll get into this, is this helping my experience of life or not, to act through this judgment? Okay. He said, if the world arena is too broad of a context, then just look internally. When you say, I'm upset because of an argument with your spouse or relative or coworker or child or whatever, or friend, based on a belief or standard that you hold that's been violated, right? This is where these emotional disturbances come from. And you've got to figure out, is this worth it or not? And there's this great little, chart, okay? That's on page 148, figure 13. And it says, this is what happens. Things happen in life. Okay? And it is what it is. But then we have this perceptual filter. This is right. It's good. Or this is wrong. It's bad. And then we have the equivalent emotional reaction. Well, I'm happy because this happened. Well, I'm upset because this happened. Okay? And now we've moved into this space where we have created emotional baggage around whatever has occurred. Can you relate to this? I was just teaching a workshop in Orlando over the weekend. And I was teaching very similar concept to what's here. And I said to them, okay, so let's say all of you just right now got up and left the room. Like, I'm up here talking, and then everybody I'm talking to just gets up and leaves. What's going through my mind? All right. If I just look neutrally at the situation, people left the room. Okay. But what happens? I perceive through a lens. Maybe my lens is one where I get abandoned often. And so now I'm seeing, oh my gosh, these people are abandoning me. They're leaving me. Everybody always leaves me. And so when they get up and leave, like, that's my internal automatic response, is they're abandoning me. Like, everyone always leaves me. Even people that paid to be with me are leaving me, right? That's one. Maybe there's a lens of, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. And so they get up and they leave. And so my immediate response and internal dialogue is, oh my gosh, I knew I couldn't do this. I don't know what I was thinking trying to lead a workshop, and I'm not good enough to do this. And why did I even think I should do this? I shouldn't be here. Of course they left. I'm terrible. Right? That's one. Maybe the perception is, oh, they're going to surprise me. Because when people leave and unexpected things happen, it always leads to a surprise. And so my internal response is, I'm happy because, right? Not I'm upset because they left, but I'm happy because something good is about to happen. Right? Do you see how none of it's accurate, but it has all added rocks to my backpack? Like, I'm sitting up here now at the front of the room, and I'm either feeling abandoned, or I'm not feeling good enough, or I'm feeling like super ecstatic about something, only maybe to then be let down because it doesn't happen. This is what I'm talking about. These are the biases that we put onto situations. Are you following me? Like, put a 1 on the chat if you're with me, because these are the biases that we need to see that we're having. These are the interpretations. These are the lenses that we're seeing life through, and we think it's normal because these lenses are plastered on us. Everybody always leaves me. This is what always happens, right? I'm never good enough. This is why I can't accomplish anything. These are the lenses. And so I want to draw attention to them, because this is how you get rid of all the baggage that you're holding. Okay, you're with me. Good. Okay. All right, so what are those beliefs? He says, many people are unaware of this process. They simply assume that their beliefs are the truth. Like, people assume, yeah, abandonment is just normal. Everyone feels abandoned. No, they don't. No, they don't. People assume, oh, well, everyone doesn't feel good enough. Everyone feels like they have imposter syndrome. No, they don't. That's a you thing. It's a belief that you're holding on to, okay? So he says, the best indicator of whether you're operating within this right-wrong model, this is good, this is right, or this is bad, this is wrong, is to observe your emotional reactions to events and situations in your life. And so he gives the example of like a recipe. So you're looking at a recipe for lamb. Well, whatever, if you like lamb, you look at it and you're like, do I have the ingredients? Do I want to make it? Yes, no. You're kind of neutrally evaluating. But if you're a vegan and you feel like animal rights issues are like just the most important thing ever, and you look at this lamb recipe, you might get triggered. Like, how in the heck could someone write a recipe about a little lamb? Are you kidding me? And you go off, right? It's your lens. It's your lens. It's just a neutral recipe. Same with death, right? If someone dies when they're 100, it's like, oh, let's celebrate their life. They lived a good life. I'm going to miss them, but, now their suffering is over, and then they've transitioned. But if someone dies when they're 30, it's like, well, this isn't fair. This isn't just. How could this be? This is a tragedy, right? And now I'm all upset. Who is to say that one's soul contract, the reason that their soul is here, is complete at age 30 or at age 100? Who is to say? You certainly are not God. You don't know. right? But we ascribe this. And like I said, society does too. And so we all think it's normal to react this way. And I would just put forth that no. And also these I'm happy because things. It's the same thing. It's the same side of different side of the same coin. Okay, same coin. Like I'm upset because, well, the flip side of that is I'm happy because. And so catch yourself in these traps where you're like, yeah, I'm happy because. You're still engaging in a dualistic thought, right? You're ascribing your happiness. It's like, I can't be happy unless it's sunny outside. Well, today in Florida, it's sunny, so I'm happy. But tomorrow, or yesterday, it was raining, so I was upset. Like, both are ridiculous statements. Okay? You can be happy regardless of the weather. You can be okay and experience joy regardless of if there's sunshine or if there's rain out there. You with me? Like, this is what we're getting at. And you can see the absurdity in wine or the weather, but like it's true with death. It's true with everything. You're getting it, Lou. Good. All right. So the idea is I'm upset because and I am happy because are involved in egocentric, dualistic ways of being in the world. Duality. It's like you can go, things go up and down. There's polarity in this world. There's night and day. There's love and hate. We experience it all. One's not better than the other. In fact, one allows you to appreciate the other. And so we need to stop ascribing this is good or this is bad. You don't actually know. Okay? So it's just about acceptance. And he points out, he's not saying don't ever be happy. He's saying the difference is the joy that stems from spiritual growth isn't based upon outer circumstances and outer causes. I'm not happy because it's sunshine. I'm happy just because I'm happy. Okay? He says, rather, it emanates from within the authentic self, independent of the outer circumstance. Page 151, I'm reading it kind of at the end here. It says, whenever you're engaged in the process of I am upset because, you're not functioning in a consciousness of neutral observation and evaluation. You're in this perceptual prejudice and judgment. And you'll always experience emotional pain as you continue adding rocks to the load in your backpack. All right? So let's talk about how to not add the rocks. Like, let's just stop doing this because it's insane. Even the whole society's doing it. They're all insane. Okay? They're all insane. Who wants to carry around 80 pounds of rocks when you're trying to hike? Nobody. So let's figure out how to stop doing it, how to stop adding to it. Okay? He says, to reside in acceptance is a radically different way to be in a world predisposed to judgment. But it's the way to do it. The choice is to either automatically, unconsciously subscribe to these long-held group beliefs, or we do the inner work to evaluate and consciously decide for ourselves what beliefs you'll choose to live by. Okay? If you are here right now listening to this, I think you've arrived. You've arrived at this point where you're going, maybe this isn't working for me. Maybe I'm making it harder than it actually is. Maybe I need to work on this mental world, this internal world a little bit. All right, that's why I call my program Inner Management Mastery. How do I work with this inner world? The difference here when you accept is this. Events enter your field of awareness. He even has a little chart here, right? Figure 14. Events enter your field of awareness and you just simply don't prescribe right or wrong. You don't say this is good or bad. You cast no judgment. The event happens, okay? And you simply observe what has happened and accept it. To do anything else is literally absurd. Okay, I love this quote. This guy, Byron Katie, says, when I argue with reality, I lose, but only 100% of the time. Like, it is like banging your head up against a wall. Like, reality is as it is. The plane has been canceled. Like, life has already shown up in this way. The person has already passed away. Like, it's already happened. And you can be angry and try and resist reality as much as you want, but you're just adding rocks to your backpack. Like, it's here. We're not saying we condone it. We're not saying maybe you should try to do something differently so things like this don't happen again. It's just like reality is as it is. It's neutral. Reality's not for you or against you. You're doing the mental gymnastics to make this for you or against you. It's not. It's neutral. It's just neutral. It just happened. You just lost your job. You just got diagnosed with this issue. It's neutral. It is not for you or against you. Life's not coming at you. It just is. It just is. It's a hard pill to swallow for people. All right, he says, when you judge, you pretend to be sure what's spiritually correct in any particular situation. That's what you're doing. But most people can't claim the infallible knowing that comes with spiritual sight. Therefore, how can you judge when you recognize that you aren't consciously aware of the spiritual curriculum for any given individual in any specific situation? I can't remember if I shared this with you all, but I was just talking to somebody else about it. Like, I was reading a book, and not to get like way into it, but basically this woman, she's like a psychic. She's gone on TV. She's like validated that she can do what she does like hundreds of times. She's very well known. And she wrote a book. It's called Signs. And it's like stories, case studies of like clients of hers. And so when people transition, when they pass away, they come through her and speak to loved ones. And there's a specific situation I'm thinking about. So this mom lost her son. The son committed suicide on her birthday. And so she was just like beside herself, you know. She thought, well, I'm a terrible mother. Obviously, he did this on this day to like mark me as being a terrible mom. He had been a drug addict. He was living at home. She'd gotten him off the street. She was living back at home. She thought things were going well, but he killed himself. And what is your emotional reaction to that? Like this is the rock that you were putting into your backpack because of the situation, right? Most of us would say, well, that's tragic. That's terrible for the kid. He had his whole life ahead of him. You know, the poor mother, now she has this burden she has to live with, and every birthday now, you know. And that's how the mom was living. I was a terrible mom, blah, blah, blah. The woman, you know, says, well, your son's here, you know, and he has a message for you. And your son is saying that he chose your birthday because he never wants you to forget him, and that his soul curriculum was done in this life. And his soul came here to experience unconditional love. That's why his soul came. And so actually, you had loved him so unconditionally from birth all the way through into his 20s, through his drug addiction. You showed such unconditional love. He learned the lesson. His soul had integrated it, and his curriculum was done. So he was able to leave. The point of me sharing that is to say, you have no idea. You just have no idea. Stop pretending like you understand on a spiritual level why a soul is here, right? We have no idea. We have no idea what lesson they were supposed to be learning. No idea. And so it's like, you know, that example, it struck me because how common, unfortunately, is that story in our society of drug addiction and loss. But also, like, for the parent, maybe that soul came here to learn unconditional love. Maybe you did the best you could do. You did the ultimate thing and showed unconditional love. Like, it's beautiful. How could she ever have known that, Lou, is exactly my point. You don't know. The mom couldn't have known. Now, this, you know, psychic came here to be able to show, because it was so tragic for this woman, like the soul was able to kind of move through and get his mom to this woman and have that dialogue. But this is the point, is that you have no idea. She could have spent the rest of her life thinking she was a terrible mother, only to then learn, no, you were the best mom. He learned his lesson like by his mid-20s because you loved him so well. So we're prescribing right or wrong, good or bad. This is the point. You can't know, so stop trying to know. Stop acting like you know. Stop putting right or wrong, good or bad onto these situations. They just are. And you've got no idea the bigger picture in which all of this is functioning in. That's the point. She couldn't ever have known, so she should never have prescribed that it was a terrible thing. Of course you're going to miss him. I'm not saying you're going to miss someone that's not here, but you know what I'm saying. Like, there's natural human emotion, and then there's these judgments and beliefs of, I was a terrible mother, I should have done something differently. No, shouldn't have. She did everything perfect. Everything perfect. So, the only spiritually aligned choice is to accept what is and discern from that what, if any, action you need to take. That's it. You just accept and you act. That's it. That is it. That is all. He says the authentic self is simply incapable of judging because it knows that all of life serves a spiritual purpose. Everything that is happening, there is a spiritual purpose behind it, regardless of whether or not it's known or understood. It doesn't have to be known. It doesn't have to be understood. You have to have a level of trust and faith that something larger than your own mind has figured things out and has you here for a reason, doing the things you're doing. And even on a global scale, the things that are happening for a reason. Those souls came here to experience perhaps starvation, perhaps abuse, perhaps not being able to have control. And some came here to experience the ability to control and dominate. We all have different curriculums, right? That's what they're saying. He says, from within the consciousness of the authentic self, you accept all of the suffering and pain because you recognize that you don't know the spiritual opportunity or potential blessing that exists within it. I would guarantee that if I asked all of you, there have been blessings from your worst moments. We wouldn't be here right now if I hadn't been hit by a drunk driver and lost my health for several years. That was a dark time. But look at all the beauty that came from it, right? And who would have known? Well, I didn't know. Certainly didn't know. Now I understand. There's definitely some spiritual growth there. He says, while there may be little or nothing you can do to alter what has occurred, there's one thing you can always do. You can choose to be with those who are suffering in a compassionate and supportive way while they go through whatever they're dealing with. Okay? And compassion literally means, calm means with, and passio in Latin means suffering. So compassion literally means to be with those who are suffering. And it is different than validating victimhood. So after my car accident, a lot of people said to me, well, this shouldn't have happened. You didn't deserve it. Of all people, why you? Blah, blah, blah. And that just reinforced it feeling like I was a victim. This shouldn't have happened. This wasn't fair. Right? And guess what? That was just butting my head up against reality. It did happen. And all those thoughts did nothing to change reality, and they just made me suffer. So this is really, really key. He says, if you are operating from within the ego-based judgmental model, your actions will always be consistent with your right-wrong orientation, and thus will tend to be biased, short-sighted, and self-serving. If you attempt to alleviate suffering, you'll do so out of pity for the person in pain. This is different. Compassion means being with someone through their suffering. But if you believe, oh, this is so hard for this person, this shouldn't have happened, this poor person, you are coming into it out of pity for that person's pain. Your actions are actually reactions from your own ego-based perspective. What they're going through is terrible. It would be awful if I had to go through that. I feel so sorry for them. That's what people were saying to me, and they thought it was helpful. And I'm here to tell you, it was not helpful. It reinforced me feeling like a victim. It was not what I needed. I needed someone to say something good is going to come out of this. I know you're going through a tough time, but something powerful is going to come. And that happened through a therapist. A therapist said to me, Danielle, after all of this, your level of emotional intelligence is going to be through the roof. It will make you a better mother, a better daughter, a better partner. You will be more compassionate and understanding to everyone you meet because of what you're going through. And I held on to that because it was like the first bit of bright news that I had through this tragedy that I was going through. Everyone else was because, oh my God, I would hate for that to have happened to me, poor Danielle, which again, society says is natural. And what we're saying is, no, these good, bad things society subscribes to situations, it's just totally oblivious to the fact that there's spiritual curriculum. There's something else happening. There's something bigger at play. Okay? So he says, this approach places those who are suffering in the victim mode and demonstrates a lack of spiritual awareness. For truly, how can you know what opportunity other people's souls are deriving from their experiences? It's just like, I work with the SIA and I watch people that are sick and I educate them about a powerful health technology, something that absolutely for sure is additive to every person that takes it, will help their body more rapidly detect issues. And then I still have people say no to me. I have people stop it even after they've had results. I have all this happen and I just think sometimes to myself, interesting. What is their spiritual curriculum? Clearly this disease is part of it because they're not even able to go down the route that's going to help them get out of it. And I just I don't play God. I have no idea what their curriculum is. I know that I entered their life, I educated, I did my part, and then I released the outcome because I have no idea. Maybe they're supposed to suffer. Maybe they're not supposed to get better right now because they haven't learned the lesson yet. And so maybe for me, it took 6 months for me to say yes to that product because I still had more suffering to do until I was ready to get out of the suffering and learn my lesson. That's when finally it was like, oh, it's the right time for this. So anyway, I share that because some of you are going to see it also, and you probably go through similar things. And so this perspective is super helpful. It's super helpful for all stuff we go through. So I think the next part of this chapter, the next piece is called Compassion 101. So maybe he's going to talk about these kind of things, like, well, how do we do this? So page 154 to 164 maybe, or 163, whatever. It's the rest of chapter 8 is what we're doing this week, and we'll be back on Monday to discuss it. I hope this was beautiful for you guys, insightful for you guys. It is like powerful. This is real stuff, and will change your world if you allow it to. So maybe listen to this, listen again, come back to it, share it with somebody that you think needs to hear it, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.